everybody, and welcome to the Fandom Omnibus podcast. I am Dani, and I am here with Chancellor D.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're all having a great day. And if you have not, please check out our last episode where we ranked 6 different TV and movie trailers.
Yes, and I just want to put this out there. If you hear rains, it is raining where we are right now. So getting into the show, we are just going to shoot the breeze, and we're just going to talk about some trending topics that is happening in the fandom. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was there was an article that came out where James Gunn said a Marvel DC crossover has been discussed. And he said it'll be many years away. All talks have been light and fun. What do you think about a Marvel DC movie crossover? And everybody, I want you to keep in mind, I just got a Bruce Wayne is in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic book. Bruce Wayne, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so I just thought it would be a fitting topic to talk about if they actually crossed over in the movies. What do you think?
I am so glad you did not tell me you had this on your plate. Okay. Man. Yeah, and you are holding this comic right now as you speak.
Yes.
So Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. It is part of the amalgam comics that DC and Marvel did in the 90s. Part of the DC versus Marvel storyline, and this comic is one of 24 comics that they did where characters were crossed over. Some were amalgamized, which were the combinations, such as Wolverine and Batman were crossed to become Darkclaw, and Superman and Captain America are Super Soldier. And one of my favorites is Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate, and Professor Xavier, or Doctor Strange's Fate. But underneath the helmet is Professor Xavier.
Okay, that sounds cool.
It's the helmet of fate.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Anyway,
Okay,
but I love this idea.
I know you would. I was like, I'm not. So I want y'all to know, I did not. We are just shooting the breeze. I'm just basically just going off the top. And this comic book made me think about that article. So in the article, he said, I'm certain that's more likely now that I'm in charge at DC. And he said, who knows? That's many years away. I think we have to establish what we're doing at DC first. I would be lying to say that we haven't discussed it, but all discussions have been very, very light and fun.
So he is right. They have to really build the new DC. They have to really build it and let it breathe.
Yeah.
And we know that they did the release of part of chapter 1 called Gods and Monsters, showcasing some of the things they're doing, the authority, and so many different other things they're bringing to life. But when we think about what the MCU has done as far as DC is related, we've already name dropped Batman and Superman in the Eternals movie.
Yeah.
They said it, like, I think once or twice.
Yep.
And I want to say
they name dropped it in something else.
A Spider-Man movie too.
Yeah, they've been name dropping DC characters a lot lately.
And even the Flash TV show on CW a few seasons back, they mentioned, I believe they mentioned the Hulk and Spider-Man, I think. And I've always liked the idea of comic book properties that you're watching, or any property that you're watching, that actually comes out and is named something else. And it says, in this universe, these characters are comics, or they're fictionalized in some capacity. So the fact that both of them are doing it, who knows, maybe in the DCU, you could have, I'll just say, Jaime Reyes reading Miles Morales comic book. Who knows?
Yeah. And see, my thing too is, now is the, like he was saying, you know, with James Gunn being in charge of DC now, and James has a past relationship with Marvel, working on the Guardians of the Galaxy. And now that Marvel has opened up the multiverse, who's to say that there's not a universe? It could just be one of the multiple universes out there that isn't a DC universe, and that they don't visit that universe for some reason. So, I mean, he's right. Like, it might take a couple of years because they do need to build up the DCU, because it needs to at least be on even footing with the MCU, because I feel like if they were to do a crossover, you don't want it to feel like the DC, like the DC characters are lesser than the MCU characters and vice versa. You want them to kind of be on equal footings, because everybody has their fan bases, and you want the characters to be treated right and with respect.
And that actually reminds me of another DC Marvel crossover comic, which is JLA Avengers. It's one of my favorite ones. It's a great story. Both sets of characters, or both worlds, when the way that they're brought together, one does not outshine the other.
Right.
And I love the fact the beginning of that comic story, when they do meet, they don't get along.
Right.
That the Avengers look at the DC Earth, especially when they go to Central City, they're like, this man named the Flash has his own museum. He's like a pompous person. And then the Justice League, when they go to the Marvel Earth and see all the stuff going on, you're like, what's with these people? And then they have their first skirmish on the Marvel Earth, and then because Tony Stark does some Tony Stark device, builds it, and sends them back to their universe. And then they come back. And there's a lot of, like, tongue-in-cheek moments of, like, the Watcher peering through the glass of the Watchtower, staring at Justice League, and they're like, who is this person?
Right.
And the Watcher is giant. He's not, like, the human size. He's the giant one. You're like, what's going on? And then on the Marvel side, Star-Lord the Conqueror comes and starts taking over some of the people. And then when Wanda comes to the DC Earth, her power is like supersized because DC magic is stronger over there than Marvel. So the sky's the limit. If they do something like this, I would love to see it in a live action form, but I would even more so love to see animated. Like, let the DC team do the animated movie.
I want to see both.
I want to see both.
I want to see both. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I do want to see it in live action. Yes. And I'm just sitting here thinking of the possibilities of, like, characters who could meet. Like, why would they even need to meet each other? So, and I remember there was a comic book where they fought each other, and, like, the winner, like, what was that?
That was DC versus Marvel.
Okay, yeah. And I don't think you could realistically do that, because I think if you did a DC versus Marvel, whoever's losing, you're gonna piss off a lot of people. So, but it would be. I ain't gonna lie, it would be cool to see, like, if you had, like, Batman versus Iron Man, or if you had, like, even though Black Lightning would get washed, like Black Lightning versus Storm. That would be nice.
And, in that DC versus Marvel book, they had Storm versus Wonder Woman, and Storm won. So then she got Wonder Woman's outfit.
Yeah.
And I think she's also holding Mjolnir.
And do you know how pissed people would be, like the Wonder Woman fans, if they did, like, a live action where Storm beat Wonder Woman? It would just be so much chaos. So it would have to definitely be where it was a team up. They could not be fighting.
I just thought about another thing that Marvel has done in recent years. I don't know the exact name of the comic, but there's a Thor comic, and they actually show you blurs of.
I know what you're talking about.
You see, like, the Seven.
It was a Thor comic.
They see the Seven of the Justice League.
Yep.
But you just see, like, the color schemes.
Yep. And then what they did in the comic book, and I can't think of the name of the comic right now because it was such a big deal. Like, I posted about it on my comic book blog, and they show the pictures of the Justice League, but like you said, they were blurs, and then they wrote excerpts about each one, so you knew who they were.
And did you see the other one where Lockjaw was going to different places and he landed on top of the Daily Planet?
No, I did not.
It's one where Lockjaw appears and you see Superman and Wonder Woman's boots. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. And he leaves. And it was funny because like, you knew it was Daily Planet. You recognized Superman's boot and Wonder Woman's boot. Mm-hmm. But, they can't show them for legal reasons. They can't show their faces. Mm-hmm. But they showed their boots. And it was like, okay. It was actually pretty good.
And I'm looking up this Thor comic book. The Justice League shows up in Thor. I'm trying to find the actual name of the comic book. And it says, a sun god, a god of emerald light, a god of dark perhaps, a god of the ocean, of speed, of strength. So you had Green Lantern, The Flash, Batman, Aquaman, Superman. And they said a sun god. Is that supposed to be Wonder Woman?
Either that or Shazam.
I'm not sure.
The god of speed is Flash.
Gotcha. But they said it was Thor #2 by Dani Chancellor.
Okay.
Yep. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about that briefly because I knew that would excite you because you're always looking for the DC Marvel crossover comics.
I am trying to finish it. I'm just trying. I just have like 7 more.
Okay. You'll find them. You'll find them.
One day I will.
Yeah.
I'm in no rush. But.
Okay, so on to the next topic. Harry Potter reboot, getting 7 seasons for each year at Hogwarts. HBO Max show. What you think?
That's going to be 7 years?
Yep, 7 seasons. You already know I'm excited because I'm a Potterhead.
I am too. I'm just like, is this going to just be a reboot and just do the entire story again?
I think that's what they're going to do.
Or are we going to do original characters and Harry, Ron, Hermione are like background characters?
No, this is what it says. This is from Collider. Harry Potter set for 7-season TV reboot at HBO Max. And it says a trip back to Hogwarts may be on the horizon as Warner Brothers is reportedly nearing a deal to set up a Harry Potter television series at HBO Max. While the deal has not yet been finalized, Harry Potter creator J.K. is said to be spearheading development and is close to boarding the series as a producer along with Warner Brothers Television. And so details are slim, but according to Bloomberg, each season of the In the Works series will be based on one of Rowling's 7 Harry Potter books. So it'll be a reboot. So whole new cast, and they'll each year at Hogwarts will be a season.
Okay.
And so I'm excited for this because I'm a Potterhead. I love Harry Potter. I'm a Gryffindor. What are you?
Gryffindor.
Okay, so we're both Gryffindors, even though I wanted to be a Hufflepuff.
Just in Hogwarts Legacy, I chose Ravenclaw.
Gotcha.
I know I'm like, my heart tells me over there, but part of more said I'm Gryffindor. But okay.
Yeah, same. My heart tells me I'm a Hufflepuff. But anyway, so I'm excited for the series. I think because Fantastic Beasts failed. Ultimately, even though I enjoy the Fantastic Beasts, it ultimately failed. And I think people thought that people weren't interested in the brand until the video game came out. And that video game, Hogwarts Legacy, broke so many records. Like, it's insane. So I think once they saw how popular Hogwarts Legacy was, they realized, hey, we still have something with the Wizarding World. So let's just, start fresh and start a new, let's start over. Let's reboot it. The one thing that I'm excited about a reboot is I think now you can, because it's a TV show, maybe you'll get 10 to 13 episodes, hour a piece. Now you can really go deep with these characters. There were a lot of characters in the movies who were brushed over, but they played bigger roles in the book. So we might get more development on Harry and Ginny's relationship. You know, a lot of people felt like that relationship was rushed, so we might can get development on that. We can learn more about Lupin and Tonks. We can learn about the Marauders, and maybe see some of James and Lily and Snape when they were in school together and what they got up to. So I think this is an opportunity to really flesh out a lot of those side characters and bring more context into the Wizarding World that, you know, was lost during the movies. And one character I want to see done right, it's my favorite character, is Ron Weasley. Because I feel like, you know, I feel like they just played him up for comedy. And to me, I personally feel like Ron was the heart of the trio. I feel like Ron gave Harry his first family. You know, the Weasleys were the first people that, besides Hagrid, were the first people that he met. They showed him how to get this 9 3/4. Then him and Ron became glued at the hips. And, you know, Ron basically shared his family with Harry. Harry basically became another son for Molly and Arthur. So, and then I've always, like, and you see it in the movies, like, whenever the summer would come and Harry would always go and stay with the Weasleys. By the time Harry got there, Hermione was already there hanging out. So it was kind of like, I just felt like Ron was really the heartbeat of that group. Like, I felt like when Ron left in that last movie, I felt like a part of them was lost, especially Hermione, without Ron being around, you know? So yeah, I really want to see more justice, even though I loved Ron regardless. I want to see more justice done for my boy Ron. How about you?
Same here, yeah, and I'm kind of changing what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
For those that want to know what I originally was thinking, I was thinking that, can we go back to the days where seasons were like 22 episodes? Because, I mean, nowadays shows are about 10, 13, or 8, and that's it. But with what you were saying, this would give them a chance to really flesh out characters and even expand on some that, or really showcase some that we never got to see. Like, they cut out Peeves the Poltergeist. You know, he's a background character in the books, but never saw him.
Right.
Hogwarts Legacy, he's in the game.
Right.
You only saw nearly Hitler's Nick for like a few scenes in the movies. He's in there throughout. Like you mentioned, Lupin. We need to go more into that. I would say for like the first episode, let's not throw him on the Hogwarts Express by the end of the first episode. No. The first episode needs to be, I really think you could spend the whole first episode and do the first chapter of the Sorcerer's Stone Justice, where it starts out with his Uncle Dursley, and he's at his job, and then all these owls just appeared out of nowhere. People were in cloaks out in the open, and he was really confused. To actually see that and start there, you know, the fall of Who Shall Not Be Named, and we don't know that, but the way it was written, and then, you know, he went home, saw the cat outside his house, and we know Professor McGonagall. We didn't know that, but we didn't even know she could turn herself into an animal. We didn't know what these things were. But to start there and actually do that for the first episode, to see that first chapter play out as it, we could end it right there when the baby's dropped off at the porch, and that's the first episode. You don't need to jump to Harry. Right. Even though Harry was singing was great, but we need to see that real introduction. And then episode 2, you start with Harry. And then eventually build up to the whole, here come the letters. Like in the second episode with, here's a letter with the boy under the stairs. And like, what is that? Do a close-up on the camera. I'll take my idea. You close up on the camera, zoom into the letter, credits, next episode. It starts going crazy. Like, you're going to do the books. Not just episode 1, he's with Ron and Hermione, and then by the end of the first episode, he's been sorted. That's too fast.
Gotcha. You want a slow burn?
Yeah, I want like slow burn to actually like build the universe. You know, the movies did a good job of within 2 hours time or 2.5 hours, we told the entire book.
Right.
But let's say we get to season 4, Goblet of Fire. Please, for the love of God, in the Triwizard Tournament, do the maze correctly.
Oh, I would love to see more Quidditch, like actually see more Quidditch matches. I think that would be awesome. And I did not mention this character, but one character I would love to see them focus on and flesh out is Percy Weasley. Because we saw Percy in the movies, in like the first 3 movies. He was, he was the prefect, he was the head boy. So we would just always see him.
He was he's like, hey, I'm over here.
Yeah, we would see him, and he would usually be kind of like guiding the younger students up into Gryffindor Tower or something. But every time we saw him, he was with the family. He ate lunch with them in the dining hall. If you go back and watch the movies, Percy is always with them in the background. Then all of a sudden, Percy's gone. He graduated. And all of a sudden, now you see him, and he's always with Cornelius Fudge. But you don't get any background. You don't hear anything about the fallout he had with the family and how he wasn't talking to his family at the time. You just always saw him, looking a little stuck up, but he was always with Fudge. And then you don't see him again until the final battle, and he's back with his family. So if you don't know what happened in the books, I don't want to say you're confused, but you don't even realize anything happened with Percy. But that was a long time he was alienated from his family, and I think that would be nice to see. I really do. And I know a lot of people don't like Percy. I don't dislike him as much as other people, because I do feel like he was made to feel different from his siblings, based on the fact that he was ambitious, and he did want more for himself, and he did he strived to be a head boy and a prefect, because he didn't want to be poor, basically. But there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. And, the fact that they made him, or they picked on him about the fact that he had ambitions, in my opinion, was wrong. Because at the end of the day, they all had ambitions. He was just more honest about his. Because, Charlie, he had his dragons, and he was gone. Bill, he had ambitions. He was a curse breaker. He worked at Gringotts. It's not like this man didn't have a good career. Percy ended up working for the ministry. Even Fred and George, they started their own joke shop that was highly successful. They were selling like weapons and stuff to the ministry to help in the fight. So it's kind of like they were all technically ambitious people. They were all very ambitious. They none of them liked being poor, basically. I mean, think about how Ron felt when he had to be like, yeah, I bought my own lunch. It's corned beef, and my mom knows I don't even like it. Or, whenever Harry tried to buy Ron stuff, and he would, he kind of would be like, no, I can't take it. It was like he was low-key ashamed. Or when his mom would make him the sweaters. Or he would get hand-me-down robes. He got a hand-me-down wand. He got them ugly dress robes. Let's not pretend like all of them didn't have the same thoughts as Percy. So, I just had to go on a little rant about that, because that is something that has, it always has bothered me, because I feel like Percy got a bad rep.
So, and I don't mean this as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just do a show all about the Weasley family during the 7 years?
I mean, I'm down for a week.
Which is like, you can cast Harry, but it's about the Weasleys.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a whole drama, especially if you're HBO Max or HBO, you could do a serious drama, a family drama, especially what you mentioned talking about Percy, and then their brother, and then just you sing them over the ages, and then you could reference what's happening at Hogwarts and say, "Oh, we're here at this point." You could keep the movies as is, but just say, "Okay, on the outside looking in, this is what's happening." And then when we do get to the year of Goblet of Fire, we can actually see the Quidditch World Cup, which we were not allowed to see.
Yeah, that would have been fire.
I was waiting, like, that whole thing, we're about to see it, and then, oh, we're done. I'm like,
yeah,
that's like a good 30 minutes of the movie. That movie could have been 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I would have sat there the entire 5 hours.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. I think, you know, while this isn't what I was thinking we were going to get, I knew they were going to do something with the Wizarding World. I just didn't think it would be a reboot because, I mean, to me, the movies aren't that old. People are still watching these movies like they came out yesterday. So,
when did the first movie come out?
Let me check.
Because it's Sorcerer's Stone and Philosopher's Stone. But you see, what year? The movie came out what year?
Hold on one second. I'm gonna pull it up. 2001.
Okay, and what year did the book release?
Hold on one second.
Yes, we're doing this in real time.
1997.
Okay, the book's been out that long. This franchise is not going anywhere.
No.
It's not going anywhere.
No.
That was my point for saying what years did these come out.
Gotcha.
Because you have people now, either our age or older or newer, because people are being born all the time.
Yeah.
That they're being introduced in these franchises that we love all the time.
Right.
So you have 8 movies of the books. You have 3, maybe 5, who knows, of Fantastic Beasts if they want to give us the next 4 and 5.
I don't think they are.
It'd be nice just to finish it. But I still want to know how we go from Jude Law to Richard Harris in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But and that's just nothing against anybody, but it's just like, how did we go from Dumbledore being here to here? Explain that.
Yeah. And see, that's what I'm saying. I knew they were going to do something with the Wizarding World, but I never thought they would want to do a whole reboot. But like I said, I'm not mad at the reboot because now we can flesh out some things that got left out of the movies. But, you know, I personally, I want to see other wizarding schools. I know everybody is like hyper focused on Hogwarts, but there are, I think, 7 wizarding schools. And I want to see them. I mean, you know, you ain't gotta.
I mean, we saw 2 other ones in Goblet of Fire.
Right. And then we know about the one in America.
Right. So that gives us 4.
Oh, excuse me. There are 11 long established and prestigious wizarding schools. So I wanna learn about these other schools as well. And the other schools, they're all based in other countries. So I feel like that's the way that you can diversify. Like you have Beaubaxons, they're in France. Castle Lobruxo, that's in Brazil. Drumstring is in Norway or Sweden. Hogwarts is in Scotland. Ilvermorny is in America. Then you have one in Russia. Cannot pronounce it, sorry. You got one in Japan that I can't pronounce, and you also have one in Uganda, and I can't pronounce that as well. So, you know, I would love to see those other schools and the students and learn about their histories. I would love to learn more about the Marauders. I would love to, like you said, see that battle between Dumbledore and
Grindelwald?
Yeah, Grindelwald. I would love to finish that up. There's just a lot you can do. I would love to see the next generation. Because, you know, they came out with, you know, a list of all the next kids. Like, Ron and Hermione had 2 kids. Harry and Ginny had 3. Percy had 2. Bill and Fleur had 3. Charlie didn't have any. George and Angelina had 2. So I would love to see that next generation. Because I remember they teased at the end of the movie, or no, at the end of the books, they teased that Victory, which is Fleur and Bill's daughter, was in a relationship with Tonks and Lupin's son. So I would love to see that.
And speaking on the schools, and bringing back up to Hogwarts Legacy for a moment, what has been fun on social media is seeing how people have turned Hogwarts into an HBCU.
What?
Yes, it is a whole thing on TikTok that people are out they're strutting their house colors, and it's become a Hogwarts HBCU, and it is fantastic.
Oh, that sounds cool.
So that's also another part of the generation growing with Harry Potter and the Wizarding World, and largely, I believe, thanks to Hogwarts Legacy. And it's great to see you have people doing the little stories on TikTok, like a Hufflepuff walking down the corridor, and you walk into the Slytherin room, and the Slytherins are having a party or something, or saying Ravenclaws. And there's one person I follow that they did a whole skit where the Slytherin was trying to like sell them something, and they're like, "Nah, I'm good." and they acted it out. Both of them acted out really well, and they're wearing their colors and everything. And it was like, we need more of this too.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see where it goes. So we stayed on this topic for a while because, like I said, I am a Potter head.
Me too.
Yeah,
but
we're just catching up. So the next topic I wanted to talk about. So this is a different fandom that we haven't discussed up here, but UFC and WWE are merging. So, according to ESPN, it says everything we do and don't know about the UFC WWE merger. So, it says 2 of the biggest live event and broadcast promoters in the combat space will be merged into one company, an unprecedented and stunning business move. It says, so the company Endeavor, the UFC's parent company, announced Monday it will be acquiring WWE's pro wrestling brand, and that the UFC's MMA company will be combined into one publicly traded company. So Endeavor will own 51% of the new company, while current WWE shareholders will own 49%. So this is an interesting development. So basically, a while back, it was getting messy in WWE. Vince McMahon has stepped down because of some allegations he was facing. They did an investigation into it. Nothing really came out of it. And so he has slowly came back into the WWE. And basically he came back with the hopes of selling the company. So he was basically, from what they were saying, there were multiple offers, but he went with Endeavor. And I think one of the reasons he went with Endeavor is because I guess the owner of the company basically said that Vince McMahon would be a part of the merger. And, I'm not the biggest Vince McMahon fan. So, I've really been enjoying the product since he had stepped away and Triple H has been in charge of creative. So, what do you think about the UFC and WWE merging?
It honestly is a very... What is the term? It feels like it's a wrestling monopoly in a sense. The UFC and WWE are 2 of the biggest brands. I know we have New Japan Wrestling, AEW, and so many other ones out there. But largely, those 2 are the 2 that a lot of people know, whether you are a fan of wrestling or MMA or anything, what have you. But to have it under one roof, it would in some ways, or a lot of ways, make what we've seen over the last few years, for lack of better words, make more sense. Like that one WrestleMania where it was Ronda Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon,
Mm-hmm.
where Ronda's from the UFC, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
and then she came over there, and then I think at one point Brock Lesnar went to UFC. So it feels like we were kind of testing the waters, and now to make this a thing, you can open a door from the storytelling side to have these fighters and wrestlers, these entertainers and athletes come together across the board and tell enriching stories, and you can really open a door for, I grew up as a wrestler, but now I want to get into MMA and
vice versa.
And actually do these, like, I'm going to go for the World Heavyweight Championship, but, I started over here in UFC, and I want to work my way up, and you can, it's just one path. There's many paths you could take.
Mm-hmm.
That's just from a creative standpoint. From the marketing side, it would be very interesting to see, are we still going to have individual logos? Is it going to, drop one name for the other, or combine the names together?
I think there'll be two separate brands.
It would make sense to do that. We
Yeah.
know WWE was WWF, but before World Wildlife Federation, said they had WWF first, and we had to change it to World Wrestling Entertainment and so on, understandable reasons. But I just kind of wondered, like, would that be like? What does UFC stand for?
I don't know.
but it's like Universal Wrestling Championship.
Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Okay, I thought it was Universal. Okay.
Hey, you were close.
I was close. But hey, but it marketing wise, it would just be interesting. I'm interested to see how does that play out. Like,
Right.
what logo do we use? Like, is there going to be this combined logo where you still have WWE, you have UFC, but what's the combined logo or name?
What's
or
the merger
or,
gonna look
or
like?
what's the title that you're going to say this person represents them both?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who I want to see have that, and I don't mean this for the comical standards of how this person has been perceived, but I want R-Truth to have it.
Oh, really? Well, I think he's out injured.
I know he's out, but I would like to see him have it just for however long, because now he always had that 24/7 title, and people would just show up to go for it. I would love to see him start it, not from a comical standpoint. I want it to be a serious thing, and he say, "I'm going to represent the new brand."
Gotcha.
And then people are going to say, "No, well, I want it," and then it would just be like the chase for the thing, but. Don't do it in a comical stance, and do it for a serious stance. Start it out, and then it can go where it would bring the audience to say, "Let's watch Monday Night Raw. Let's watch SmackDown. Let's watch NXT, and then let's go watch the UFC events because they could defend it on across the board."
Right. Well, see, I think this this merger actually makes sense because. Like you mentioned, there has been a UFC to WWE pipeline and vice versa. Like you have Brock Lesnar, who has gone, back and forth between the two. Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Sonya Deville. They all have live fighting backgrounds, and they've made the transition over to WWE. Because what I think would be attractive, especially to UFC fighters, is when their career slows down from fighting, like for real fighting, they can go over to wrestling, still use those skills, but it's probably I don't know if it's less damaging on the body or not, because with wrestling you would probably be doing more things. Like a UFC fight is probably like once every month or a couple weeks. WWE, you're in the ring 1 or 2 times a week.
Yeah, you have the live shows and the pay-per-views, and then you have the
house shows.
The house shows. I don't believe they are recorded unless they're recorded for like development.
Yeah, maybe for that. But I've gone to some house shows. And, they're still out there. They're still wrestling. You can still get injured. You can still get hurt. But it makes sense, and I just think it's a little interesting development to see what happens with WWE. So I just wanted to bring that up. And so now I'm going to go on to the next topic.
Which would be the topic of enjoying your fandoms.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so I've been kind of enjoying the fandoms a lot more lately. But I think that's because I typically tend to stay away from the toxicity of social media, especially mainly Twitter. So when I am engaging with people in the fandom, it's mainly me watching YouTube videos and engaging with people in those comment sections. And I'm very specific about which YouTube videos I watch. So what do you think?
Same here. A lot of shows I'm looking at now, like Mandalorian, I've made a point this year for season 3 to not look at reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Even though this recent episode, the 6th episode, just came out this past Wednesday, I enjoyed it. But from what I've gathered just by scrolling through YouTube, not actively looking for it,
mm-hmm.
it's very divisive.
Mm-hmm.
And even the same on TikTok, it's very divisive. And I watched one breakdown Nerdist video, and I was like, okay, I get it. I can see why people had some concerns about this episode. But I'm a story person.
Mm-hmm.
So when I looked at it from the story perspective, I thought it was fine. But to be objective, I said, okay, I can see where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But when I watched it, I did not see that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've made that choice to say, I just want to spend my time after working to enjoy something.
Mm-hmm.
And that means getting off social media and not looking to see what people have to say. Because I feel like when you look at something, movie, TV show, you're playing a game or reading a book or listening to music, whatever, everyone has an opinion, and everyone's opinion is valid. And because everyone is subjective. Art is subjective.
Right.
But if you want to enjoy something and really enjoy it for yourself, it's important to take yourself away from the noise,
mm-hmm.
and just watch it. Then I really do miss the days prior to social media where you just watch something, and if you did not talk about it with your circle of family or friends, that was it. You didn't really have people in your face saying, oh, this sucked for production reasons, or the story didn't make sense, or whatever, or Rotten Tomatoes said this. Like, yes, they're there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not being bombarded,
mm-hmm.
even when you're not looking for it, it kind of takes away your sense of, well, I enjoyed the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get inundated with the opinions, it starts to make you think, or it can make you think, maybe I'm wrong.
Mm.
And that's why I want to stay away from the noise.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody's opinion is wrong. Now I will, like I said, I won't go on like Twitter or anything like that for fandoms, but I will go on YouTube. I have certain people that I watch, and I'll watch their reviews. I like watching Black Nerd Comedy, Heroes Reforged. I watch Beyond the Trailer, John Campia. So I have certain Dan Murrell. So there's certain people that I will watch and get their opinion, or and see their review. But I try, and like I said, after you hear the review, it's hard to kind of ignore some of the things they say, some of the criticisms. But I do try to, still go and watch it for myself and try to be open-minded about it. Like a good example, there's been some mixed reviews. Like, for the most part, people are enjoying the new Mario movie. But I am seeing some people say that, like, they thought the story was weak. So we just watched the movie, and I like the story. So
Same here. It was great.
And maybe that's coming from someone who has always enjoyed Mario and had a Nintendo and had a Super Nintendo. But I enjoyed it. And, even when I saw, some criticisms about the storyline being weak. Oh, I also like watching E-Man's movie reviews and Just My Opinion reviews. I wanted to throw them out there too. But, even though, some of them thought that the storyline was weak, I took it into consideration, but I was like, I'm still going to go watch it for myself. And, because it could be something I totally enjoy, and I did enjoy it a lot.
Same here.
Yep.
It was funny when there was Mario versus Donkey Kong, and they start singing the DK rap. I just went into it.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up for a good transition because the Super Mario Brothers movie set an opening day record for 2023. So it says, Nintendo and Illumination Entertainment's The Super Mario Brothers movies has already set a record on its first day at the box office. According to box office analysts, the Super Mario Brothers movies earned $55 million on its first Friday in theaters, making it the biggest one-day box office gross for any movie so far in 2023. So that is super, super exciting. I know a lot of people I watch on YouTube have been saying that Super Mario Brothers might be the first $1 billion movie this year. What do you think?
It easily can be.
Yeah, it's got a lot of repeat value.
It's like you mentioned Black Nerd Comedy. I actually watched his review last night, and he said that was his third time watching it.
Yeah, it's got because the thing is, the movie's not that long.
Only an hour and 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And 2 post-credit scenes.
Yeah, so the movie's not that long. I'm going to go back and watch it.
Me too.
I ain't going to lie, I missed the first couple of minutes, so I'm going to go back and watch it because I need to see everything. But I love the movie. It's like a movie where when it goes on streaming, it's probably going to be like a movie that I just let play when I don't really know what to watch. And I'll probably just put it on because it's something fun, it's enjoyable, it's lighthearted, and yeah. So it's got a lot of repeat value. So I can see this movie. And when we watched it, people were clapping at the end of the movie. Kids were having a great time with this movie. So this movie is about to be a hit.
Yes. And the subtle nods with music cues, like the underground theme, Bowser's theme, and just all the visual cues, whether it was on screen for about 5 seconds or less, especially Bob-omb Battlefield from Super Mario 64, seeing Princess Peach's castle from Super Mario 64, and just Mario Kart 8. Again, this train agrees with me. The Mario Kart 8 references, and just Cranky Kong was hilarious. And seeing Diddy Kong in the audience, that was fantastic.
Yep.
But overall, it was a great movie, and it's one where it's like, having grown up with something, and like I want to use the word renaissance, I want to use it very lightly. That it feels like we're in a renaissance of fandoms, because there's so many properties from whatever decade they're from. They're getting a lot of shine now in 2023, and Super Mario Brothers movie is a great video game adaptation, and it feels like there's going to be a sequel. Very well could be a sequel, but I'm hoping it opens the door for a Smash Brothers universe. Just hoping.
Yeah, and we were talking about other video games that we would like to see made into maybe movies or TV shows, because I'm loving the Sonic series. Like, I love it. I was excited for the tease at the end of the second movie. I like the Pokemon movie. I don't know why we haven't gotten a second one of those yet. And The Last of Us, the TV show, is amazing. I really love this Mario movie. So Uncharted was meh for me, but it wasn't bad. And I'm looking forward to the new Mortal Kombat movie. They're making a new Street Fighter movie. So I'm just like, video games, movies, and then they're doing a Night at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah. My goodness.
I've never played that game.
Me either.
And I'm kind of scared to see. It's supposed to come out around Halloween.
It's honestly, you remember going to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, be there at night by itself when it's just you, and you are keeping the place safe because you are the night watchman, and the animatronic creatures are alive.
Okay.
That's Five Nights at Freddy, basically.
Yeah.
And they're trying to hunt you down.
Yeah. So Five Nights at Freddy's is I think it's in development right now. And we were talking about video games that we wanted to see made into movies or TV, and I was like, I wouldn't mind seeing a Crash Bandicoot video game movie. Even though now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering what the movie could be about, because he really did just spin and run and jump.
I mean, I think in later Crash Bandicoot games, there was, from my understanding of like the stories, there was like the scientist person, and they actually built a story around it.
Mm-hmm.
But and then there's Crash Team Racing, like the kart games like Mario Kart. So it could work.
There was this video game on Nintendo back in the day. I can't remember what the name of this game was, but it was kind of like you was walking through levels and you was like fighting people and you would throw knives at people. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Super Nintendo?
No, regular Nintendo.
Honestly, this feels like one of the Shinobi games.
A Shinobi game?
It feels like a Shinobi game, but there are so many games that fit that description.
Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna look it up and try to figure out what it is. But that would be a fun game to play, because I don't know why that just popped into my head, but I was like, that would be a fun game. I know some people always be mentioning like Zelda.
And the next Legend of Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, comes out in May, and it looks gorgeous.
Yes, I've never actually played Zelda.
You can the beauty of it is you can pick any game and go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are a few different timelines to know if it's Child Link or Adult Link, or the story, I believe the timeline where Ganondorf actually wins and you're picking up the pieces. From what I understand, I know I'm actively learning the Legend of Zelda timeline in preparation for the new game.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, and so the last thing that we can talk about is, and we only have like a little under 8 minutes left, so this is gonna be real quick. And I know Chancellor D is gonna do his own videos about this. It was Star Wars weekend. What was your favorite announcement from this weekend?
So, I know today was day 2 of Star Wars Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorite things, I talked about Ahsoka in our last video, so I won't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be seeing the Dave Filoni movie that I believe is going to be set still in this Mandalorian timeline. That I believe it's connecting the shows together for a movie.
That'll be cool.
So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Because one thing I will say, and I know there's a lot of people who are kind of down on Star Wars right now because they didn't particularly like the last trilogy that came out, the trilogy movies. But to me, I feel like, because, I'm always seeing people like, oh, Star Wars is in a bad place, blah, blah, blah. I don't see Star Wars as in such a bad place, because I feel like even though they have not came out with a movie in a long time, I think, let me see when the last movie came out. 2019. So it's been 4 years since we've had a movie.
I believe The Rise of Skywalker, you can correct me if I'm wrong, came out in December 2019.
Gotcha. So if it's been 4 years for a movie, but I feel like they've been hitting it, like, even though some people are mixed on the trilogy, I thought Rogue One was excellent. I thought Solo was very good. It's very underrated. I think people need to give that movie a fair shake. Mandalorian is a hit.
Yes.
Bad Batch is
fantastic.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I don't watch Bad Batch, but I have friends who watch Bad Batch, and they love they like Bad Batch. It's a good show. And let me see, Obi-Wan was kind of mixed with some people. I enjoyed Obi-Wan, but I could understand. I think Obi-Wan was painted themselves in a corner, because we already know what happens with Obi-Wan, like how things end for him. So it was almost like the fights he had with Vader, there weren't any stakes, because we knew nothing was going to come from it. We knew that we knew Vader wasn't going to die, and we knew Obi-Wan wasn't going to die. And I feel like they kept finding these ways so that they wouldn't kill each other. That just wasn't really that realistic, in my opinion. So I think that kind of hurt Obi-Wan a little bit, but I still enjoyed it. Boba Fett was mixed, but Boba Fett was a mixed bag. But they've came out with some Star Wars animated little shows too that I think that went over really well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Star Wars Visions was really good.
Yeah, Star Wars Visions. And then somebody in my Blur group, they had just mentioned they had watched something about Star Wars, and it was really good. That just came out not too long ago. So to me, I don't personally think Star Wars is in such a terrible place as other people are making it. Ahsoka looks like it's going to be really good. They talked about the Acolyte.
That's gonna be great.
What was another?
There is one that's gonna be set in the past, where I believe the first
Jedi movie.
Jedi.
That's the one that I'm interested in, the first Jedi movie, and I'm curious about what they're going to do with Rey, because I know they're bringing Rey back for a new trilogy, and I'm just curious about how it's gonna be, because I personally only want to see Rey if Finn and Kylo are around.
But Kylo died.
I know, and I know you keep saying that to me, but I want Kylo. If Rey is around, I need Kylo around.
The only way they can do it is a Force Ghost. That's it.
I need more than a Force Ghost.
They killed them all.
I know,
but it's all they can do, unless they want to go in and like expand that time period out before Rise of Skywalker. But there's no need to do that with the movies.
I guess I want them back. I'm sorry, but I do. So it's like, because I'm trying
Don't
to think.
apologize for it.
Yeah.
I it'd be nice to have him back to continue on, but he just did the thing that everyone does when they die, who's a Force person. Yoda, Obi-Wan, Luke, they all did the same thing. Leia did the same thing. They all just vanished, and they're dead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what we're gonna get with just a Rey story, honestly. Oh, and I found it. He said that Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi was fantastic.
Yeah, he said it was excellent.
It was great.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think Star Wars is in such a dire spot like everybody is making it out to be. I think that there's been some issues on the back end, but I think as far as their TV shows go and the movies they put out, I think they've done a good job personally. But anyway, so that ends our discussion for today.
And I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of the Fandom Omnibus podcast, and thanks again for coming along on the journey.
Bye.
Bye.